crazy stuff. Zach Wilson apparently reluctant to start at quarterback for the New York Jets. A whole shitstorm of stuff for the last what do we call it? 36 hours? Last day and a half? So yesterday we saw word come out that Zach was reluctant to start. Then we had Robert Saleh's press conference where he said none of that happened. And he came into his press conference or came into his office and said, hey, I want to start. I want the ball. I'm ready to go. And, maybe that's it. And then we start hearing from Rodgers today on the Pat McAfee show. He kind of backs up what Sal is saying and also the team first front. But then we also heard some more stuff from Deanna Rossini from the K Show. So I feel like we should probably hop over and watch the clip from the K Show first, because that's the most up-to-date stuff that we have. So this is Deanna Rossini on the K Show.
Aaron Rodgers kind of saying that, he never spoke to Zach or anything like that. What's your whole take on the Jets' response to what you reported yesterday?
Yeah, I think the Jets have to go out there and deny it the way Robert Saleh did yesterday, the way Aaron Rodgers did today. Although they didn't actually really deny the accuracy of the story. It was just more about their issue with the leaks that are coming out and that information that's getting out of the building. You guys have been playing Rodgers' interview with the Pat McAfee show, and when you really listen to what he's talking about, he's mad at the Jets right now that something like this that can make a player look bad would even be given to reporters, and that reflects the state of the team. And I think right now everyone's just trying their best to try to figure out, what was it, a player? Was it a coach? Was it a trainer? Was it somebody that works in security? I can just tell you that it was multiple people that are very aware, because the entire building has been aware of this for over a week now, that Zach Wilson has had reluctance to wanting to go back in there. He's expressed it openly to people. And from his side of it, I think you guys have, I'm sure, discussed it about how, maybe he has a right to stand up for himself because of the fear of being injured. He knows he's not going to be with the New York Jets once he was benched. Once he was benched, it was over for Zach Wilson in New York. And I understand from his perspective of why he was perhaps contemplating going back in there, but then, of course, you have that other side. So, the Jets wanted Aaron Rodgers to talk to him, coach him up a little bit about why you need to, make the right decision here for the team, because they need him. In their opinion, Zach Wilson is the best quarterback in that building at this moment, and they want to put him back in there.
Now, Diana, that's the one thing he did refute, though. He says he never spoke to Zach or that he was ever told to speak to Zach. So I guess that's the one thing that he did say that you were misleading at.
Yeah, that's okay. He doesn't want to share that he has that much influence and power. Then it also confirms my report. But he was told to speak with him last Wednesday, and he spoke with him yesterday about changing his mind. And I was actually even told that it didn't even work initially, that Zach said thanks, but no thanks. This is what I'm going to do moving forward. Now, someone from Zach's side of this did reach out that if he was going to be named a starting quarterback, he's going to get out there and play. And he's now changed his mind on this and will be doing it. So, look, Michael, you just mentioned that you've done this before. It's frustrating because I don't think people can see through it. That's where it's frustrating.
Right.
But the Jets know I know, Zach Wilson knows I know, and Aaron Rodgers, once again, has gone on television to refute a report that's accurate.
All right, so that is the comments that we have, the most recent stuff coming out about this damn team and the hijinks going on with our once number 2 overall pick, Zach Wilson. So I guess I'll start off and I'll just say I definitely think Zach is feeling this way. I think this is 100% true. I think if you put me in that same situation and I got yanked and people were yelling at me, they were throwing water bottles at me at one point in the season. They had, they've been in my mom's DMs yelling at her about me, and for multiple seasons now that this has gone on. And now he's been pulled twice, last year and this year, and now you're going to say, oh, well, yeah, the other 2 quarterbacks behind him also suck, so we got to go back to you. I get how he's feeling. I do understand that. But at the same time, you're the number 2 overall pick. The reason you were benched is because you played god-awful. That's why you got benched. Yeah, you were terrible. That you gave us no other option but to bench you to see if we could get anything going. Like, we, to our detriment, kept you in as long as possible. Like, we were saying during the Charger game, like, man, that would have been a good time to pull him. He gave 17 points back the other way. The Raider game, I think, was the Raider game the first one where we saw any Boyle? I think it was the end of the, or no, was the end of the Raider game? Or was the next game he started? I thought he came in at the end of the Raider game.
Yeah, he came in at the end of
Buffalo game.
What Buffalo? Shit. Why do I not remember?
Yeah,
it's got to be Buffalo.
Buffalo.
Yeah,
and then Boyle got 2 starts in a row, right? Boyle got Miami and he got the Falcons.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's our timeline right now. So you kept with Zach for a long time after he was not playing well, and there's more to why the offense wasn't working than just Zach Wilson bad. It was offensive line bad. It was play calling bad. It was wide receivers dropping passes. There was penalties. Like, there's a lot going on. It's not only Zach, but Zach was the only one at the time that we could pull the trigger on to try and get something to change. And for him to be reluctant to go back in is a slap in the face to the organization. I think it's a real big mark on his resume. And then I think, I don't know. I feel like the team's trying to do cover. If they've known about this for a week, it's like, this is festering over. I don't know how you don't cut him at this point just to, like, save face or deactivate him. You don't have to cut him, but just deactivate him, send him home like they did, not the Jets, but like, I think the Jets did it to Keyshawn at one point. What was that?
No, we never did it to Keyshawn. We did it to Elijah Moore. And we did they did it to Eric Carr out for the Raiders last year.
Yeah. I was going to say T.O. on the Eagles, they did that too as well when things were kind of going a little rocky towards the end of his time there. So I guess, Matt, I'll throw it to you first. What are your thoughts on this whole situation? What would you do? What do you think's true or false? Where do you stand on all this stuff?
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I have absolutely no idea what is true and what isn't true anymore. But for a hot second, let's operate under the assumption, let's believe Diana Rossini. If that is actually the case, if it's been well known within the building for a week that Zach Wilson does not want to go back into play, the Jets feel that they want to go back to Zach Wilson, and that Zach does not want to play, he should not be here. He has zero cachet to say, you know what, I'm all good. He had 6 touchdowns to 12 turnovers when he got benched. It's not like he was putting up stellar numbers. And that's not to say, like, again, for the 9 millionth fucking time this year, it wasn't all on Zach Wilson. This whole thing wasn't all on Zach Wilson, but he was a major part of the problem. He was a big part, along with the offensive line, Nathaniel Hackett, the weapons, everything. It was a really big issue, but if he wants to play in the league next year, how do you not say, you know what, I'm going to go back in? The Jets don't owe him anything. They gave him $35 million guaranteed. He was without a doubt, starting quarterback his first 2 years in the league. He was without a doubt the backup quarterback to Aaron Rodgers. There was no competition any of the 3 years for either the starter role, or the backup role this year. Like, so what leg does he have to stand on if he wants to continue to play in this league? That's what I'm not getting. Oh, good for Zach Wilson for standing up and giving the FU to the Jets. They gifted him the job twice in his first and second year, and then gifted him the backup job. And, like, do you not want to play in the league next year? Do you not want to go somewhere else? Like, what do you think the 31 other teams think if this report is true? Again, that is the caveat. We have no idea what actually happened. But if this report is true, it is a terrible, terrible look for Zach Wilson.
Green Bean, what about you? Where do you stand on this whole story?
Well, the thing is, I don't really it sounds to me like Diana Rossini has a little bit of an anger problem toward Aaron Rodgers. She sounds a little bit snippy to me. That just being what it is. She sounds a little, I don't know, to me. Like, when I hear people talk like that, I usually say, hey, what's really going on? Like, that's my world, right? I go, what's really going on?
Do you think that could be that, like, Rodgers is calling her a liar, or, like, because there is that, side of it as well, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I don't think she's probably lying just to say that. I mean, whatever. I mean, but like, so is a reporter, if a reporter says something and somebody says it's not true, are you supposed to be upset and mad about it? You're supposed to just,
No, I think
I mean, I don't
Rogers
know.
went
It
a
just
lot. I think
sounds to
Rogers
me
went a lot further than most other people would have the opportunity to go. I think, like he had the hour spot on McAfee where he just kind of not that he roasted her the entire time, but like
I
that
didn't
first
hear
initial
that.
segment.
That sounded mellow to me. I do agree that, like when he said he was, organizations, he said this stuff happens when you're losing. It doesn't happen when you're winning, right? And that's a great point. Up until this point, the Joe Douglas Jets have been relatively tight-lipped. This is like the first real, other than the Elijah Moore stuff, But let me say this. I made a video, and we were live. I can't place which game it was. It was the game where Zach, he threw a pick, but like it looked to me like number one. Let me just say this: Zach Wilson, he might be tough physically, but he's a pussy here. Okay. Most of his problem is he's scared. He's scared to run. He's scared to throw it. He's scared to take the chance. He's scared. That's what he is. So I would totally believe that he didn't want to go back in there, because I was saying for about 2 weeks straight, but one game in particular, I just can't remember which game it was. It was maybe the one before he got benched. We were literally saying he looks like he's trying to get taken out. Like, that's what it looked like to me. Like he was throwing, it might have been Buffalo. I mean, I don't even remember. He was throwing the ball directly, like he scrambled to the right, and he just, instead of throwing it out of bounds, he threw it directly to two Buffalo. I'm just saying Buffalo, but two defensive backs. There was nobody else. It was just the Buffalo players. The one Jets player was already out of bounds. So and then he came back in the next play. He fucking threw a pick to the left. And we were saying, it just looks like he's like, just take me out already. Like, I don't want to be out here anymore. And we saw that last year. He very much looked like that in the Jacksonville game. He just looked like a shell, right? He's just, he looks terrified. He looks overwhelmed. And again, all the talent in the world, we were clearly rooting for the guy, right? We wanted this to work. But this is why, and I've said this 150,000 times, most teams, when there's an incumbent starter on the team and they decide to move on and bring in a different starter, 99 out of 100 times that starter is gone. The previous starter is gone. Why? Because it starts all kinds of messy shit that we're seeing right now. Now, this might be a little bit different than another situation, but we're seeing it, man. And we're seeing the kid that the thing that bothers me the most out of all of it is that this is a guy that clearly, dude, he's given us 21 touchdowns in 3 years. That's what we've gotten from this kid. To go along with 25 interceptions and I think 5 or 6 fumbles, whatever it might be that he lost. So that's what we're really looking at, a 3-year body of work that is lopsided from the negative to the positive. We have 10,000 excuses for why that is, but the truth is he's not very good. He's a scared kid, and we gave him every opportunity to do everything that he could. He can't do it, and the fact that we now have to go crawling back to him, and he's going to say, I don't fucking feel like it. That bothers me. That's the part that bothers me. Just like Matt said, and if he doesn't want to do that, the second that they sniff that out, they say, get the fuck out of the building. Get out of here. All the shit we did for you, you little pansy ass. That's what they should be saying to him. Somebody should spank him. That's what they should do. They should put him over their knee and they should spank Zach Wilson. That's what they should do.
Spank his.
Yeah, that's what should happen, man. And look, and that's to say, look, I'm rooting for him, right? But it's like the Zach Wilson thing. I'm so sick of it, dude. The kid has done barely anything for us. We've seen what's called flashes. That's all we've ever seen is flashes. He doesn't have a 2 or 3 game stretch where we went, holy shit, not once. One good game, one game where he's conservative. He doesn't make any mistakes. And we go, he's improved. That's the best we can do with him. He's got 1 300-yard game in his entire career. Like, what are we talking about here? He doesn't want to go in. Who cares? But the problem is that the Jets had Tim Boyle, and what's his face, Trevor Siemian, and that's the real problem, you know. So anyway, I don't know. I mean, I think it's probably true, but I don't really care. I just think that the Jets should be embarrassed.